All right, so when we're heading out into the backcountry, there are quite a few things that we want to bring with us. When we go to the ski area, we have quite a few resources available. We have bathrooms, we have the cafeteria, and we have the ski patrol to help us out if we get hurt or lost, right? But in the backcountry, we don't have those things, so we want to make sure that we're self-reliant. So when picking a backpack to use, I like to use a ski-specific backpack, and the big reason for that is this Avalanche Tool Pocket. A lot of these touring packs will have this. It's a pocket on the outside. You can get to it without opening anything else, and it's where you keep your avalanche rescue gear, right? So on that note, these are a few things that we always want to have with us. We want to have our probe, and we want to have our shovel and our beacon. And these backpacks, like I said, they have this great organization. They have sleeves for those tools, those handles, and the probe slide in. And the shovel blade goes in nice and neat. And then we also have our beacon, but we wear this on our body, so I'm not going to put that in that tool pocket. And then I like to carry a snow saw. This is helpful for doing stability tests in the snow pit, and I'll put that in that tool pocket as well. Now, one pro tip with your avalanche tool pocket here, I always pack it the same way. And I always close the zipper the same way. In this way, I know where everything is. And I know when I pull that zipper, the first tool I'm going to come to is my probe, which once we've done our beacon search is the first tool I'm going to need for the next step in that process. So I always practice with it the same way, and I always pack it the same way, just so it's always the same. Another really nifty features of these ski touring specific backpacks are going to be the ski carry. So whether it's a diagonal carry for skis or an A-frame carry for your skis, or these straps for a snowboard, but just having those things that make it easier to move around out there if you have to do a quick boot pack or something. So once I've got my avalanche tools in there, there's a few other things that I always have in my backpack. And one of them are these extra warm, dry mittens. I pack these in case. I don't like to use them. I've actually never really have had to. But if something happens and I need to spend the night out or something like that, or maybe my gloves get soaked and my hands are frozen, you're really going to be grateful to have something warm like this to put on. So I put those at the bottom of the pack. Like I said, it's just in case. Don't expect to use them. And then I always bring a nice warm balaclava or a nice warm hat for the same reason, in case something happens and you're kind of cold and you want a little extra warmth. And then I also have a minor first aid kit and repair kit. So half of this is dedicated to first aid and the other half is dedicated to repair. This always goes into the bottom of my pack as well. And like you said, we want to be self-reliant. So if we have a broken boot buckle, or maybe we rip a heel piece off a ski or something, there are things we can bring to help do those field repairs to make sure we can get out. It might not be pretty, but we want to be able to make sure we can get back to the car. And then I always throw a nice warm puffy in, even on a warm spring day. This is always in the pack. So, it's great for sitting in the snow pit, or when we stop to eat lunch, or, if something happens and we need to spend the night out. You'd be grateful to have that. And on layers, I always throw in a Gore-Tex jacket, like a nice waterproof layer. I might keep this closer to the surface of the pack, it's closer to the top of the pack on snowier days, stormier days. But I tend to like to move in soft shell outerwear, but I always have this just in case the weather turns and gets snowy. So even on those spring days, I like to have that. And then I always bring a helmet and goggles. Now, I like to tour in my sunglasses. Goggles will fog up pretty quickly, but I always have them for the way down. So I throw those in there, and then, I hate cold hands, so I always bring another extra pair of gloves. So these are a little warmer than what I like to tour in, which are these kind of lightweight soft shell gloves. But these can get cold pretty quick, so I have a warmer pair that are waterproof in case I need to switch them out. But I throw those in there, and then we're always going to want to bring water. So even on a short day, I bring at least a liter of water. On a bigger day, I might bring more. I personally like to use water bottles rather than hydration packs. Those tubes can freeze pretty easily, and man, when that thing freezes, you kind of get hosed. So I use a water bottle and make sure it's easy to access. For the split boarders out there, if you're a hard booter, make sure to remember your bindings. Another thing I throw into the main compartment are my skins. And I'll throw those in the pack even if I'm going to skin from the car, just to make sure I have them. It's really a bummer when you forget your skins at home and have to go back home to get them. Yeah, so that's the main compartment. And then there are a few things I like to put in the lid of the backpack here. I'll keep my food nice and close to the top, whether that's a big lunch or maybe just some snacky stuff. I like to have that easy to access. My field book, I'll keep that easy to access. This is where I'll write down any notes on instability, whether I see some avalanche activity, or if I see some wind loading, I'll write all that down so I can report it back to the Avalanche Center in an observation later. Throw an extra buff in case it's really windy or maybe I want it for the sun. I like to carry an inReach device, and this allows me to communicate with the outside world even if I don't have cell phone service. There's an SOS button here in case I get hurt and I need to initiate a search and rescue. I can do that really easily. So I keep that here at the top of the pack. I actually clip it to the key ring in here and make sure it's always there and I know where it is in case something happens and I need to call for help. And then I also always carry a headlamp. And again, this is a just-in-case type of thing. I don't like to get caught out after dark, but every now and then it'll happen. You want to be able to see. So I always have a headlamp. And then, you know, this backpack has a nice hip belt pocket, and I keep the things in here that I might need on the fly really quickly. So in here I have some sunscreen for my face, some hand sanitizer. I got a mask in here in case I run into anyone on the trail. But yeah, I keep those things nice and handy so I can get to them really fast. And then my beacon, like I said, we wear this on our body, whether it's in a harness or in my pocket. But to make sure I have it in the morning, I like to throw it in the lid of my pack until I get to the trailhead and do my beacon check. So those are the things that I take on every day of touring. You can see it's not necessarily small. And you can kind of pair up or down things like your layers depending on the conditions. And then, of course, there are a few other things that I think about depending on where I'm going and what time of year it is. You know, in the springtime when things get really hard and slick out there, I might think about bringing crampons either for my boots or for the skis, maybe an ice axe for those steeper ascents. But I don't really need those if it's soft snow out there. I might bring a more substantial first aid kit if I got a bigger group or if it feels necessary. And then for the rescue side of things, this is a rescue sled, which can be really handy if someone gets injured and needs to be pulled out. So if I'm going deeper into the backcountry where it's going to be harder to get a rescue, I'm going to try to bring this. And then this is just a thin tarp that is a really kind of light, small thing I can bring that helps me create a snow shelter in case I need to spend the night out. So that can be really handy to have. And then for the rescue sled, sometimes you need a rope. So this is about 30 meters of kind of thinner cord. It's not a climbing rope, but it will be enough to help drag someone out on this rescue sled. And you know, the thing with these items is they're not, like, I don't need to carry it all. I can divvy this up between my touring party. We only need to bring one, hopefully. So these are some items I think about depending on where I'm going, but never a bad idea to have. Yeah, so as we're going out into the backcountry, we definitely want to make sure that we are self-reliant, and these are just a few things that I like to carry with me.